But then you've got the terrorist thing in London. So I assume that most people follow the terrorist thing in London. So there was a terrorist stabber once again, and shocking, this guy was a raging Protestant, and he was subdued by civilians. He was then shot dead by police on London Bridge on Friday. Now, here's the thing about this guy. He was previously imprisoned for being a terrorist, and they let him out. They let him out early. So you have a terrorist. You're in the UK. You have a terrorist. And by the way, the UK can disappear you for all sorts of terroristic stuff, right? That you can't be disappeared for in the United States. So he followed Islamists. He was a fellow Islamist, a part of a group that actually admired Hitler. They downplayed the Holocaust, and which is why it's not getting a lot of play here in the United States, because, why bother? At the time of Friday's attack, Pakistan native Usman Khan, 28, had been free for a year after serving just half of a 16-year sentence for plotting with 8 others in 2010 to bomb London landmarks as the Stock Exchange, the American Embassy, Westminster, and some others. Okay, so in 2010, this guy was actually caught plotting to do terrorist bombings all over London. He is sentenced to 16 years, which seems like a pretty light sentence for a terrorist who is just trying to kill thousands of people. He serves half of it, okay? They let him out. Less than a year later, the guy goes on a stabbing spree in London. He was still wearing an electronic monitoring bracelet when he went berserk with 2 long knives after speaking about his own rehabilitation during the Cambridge University-sponsored Criminal Justice Conference in London, killing 2 and injuring 3. This guy was actually a panelist. He was a panelist on criminal justice reform. Back in 2010, he and his fellow Al-Qaeda-inspired jihadist fundraised and recruited for a terror camp. Khan, at 19, the youngest in the group, hoped to build on his family's land in Kashmir. The camp would be disguised as a legitimate Muslim school, sound familiar, but its graduates would return to the UK as highly trained terrorists who would commit deadly attacks, according to court proceedings, okay? Investigators bugged the extremist group, heard members talking favorably about Hitler, who they called an ally of Islam, because he understood the Jews were dangerous. The group members also claimed that fewer than 100,000 Jews died in the Holocaust, and the group plotted to set off a pipe bomb in the London Stock Exchange. Were also targeting the U.S. Embassy and the home of the Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, then London's mayor. Okay? So that all happened in 2010. So he gets 16 years. He serves half of it. They let him out. A year later, he's doing terrorist stuff again. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. 6 of the 8 terrorist plotters who were jailed along with him have also been freed from prison. Okay. This is why Brexit happened. This type of stuff. Okay? Not just this, but this type of stuff is a big part of it. And again, we were over in Ireland at the time that Brexit was getting going. It was obviously before the vote, but they were having the debate, and we heard from people in the UK. Mostly obviously on the Ireland side, but we heard a lot about this when we were there. And this is the type of thing that we heard over and over and over again. So the 9 jihadists were members of an Al-Qaeda-inspired cell which plotted to blow up London Stock Exchange, kill Boris Johnson. 1 is still in prison. Another is convicted of a further terrorist plot, and Khan is now dead, leaving 6 back out on the streets. 3 of the 9, Khan, Mohammed Shah Jahan, and Nizam Hussain, were initially handed indefinite prison terms, but the trio won an appeal in 2013, which changed them to fixed sentences. So they were originally sentenced to life in prison. And then 3 years later, in 2013, they appealed that. They got 16-year sentences, and now they're out, serving half the time. So they went from literally life in prison to just serving a few years. And then, of course, we have another terrorist plot. One of the civilians actually used a narwhal horn as his weapon to fight this guy off. Allowing their appeal, former press inquiry chair Lord Justice Levinson found they had been wrongly characterized as more dangerous than others. Khan was released in December of 2018 after serving half of his fixed sentence, and the other two have also been freed. So there's now a bunch more terrorists from this guy's terrorist cell who used to have life prison sentences, but some judge decided that they were unfairly marked as being more dangerous than other people. Yeah, jihadists tend to be a little bit more dangerous than most other people. And now we've got one of them that's committed another terrorist attack, and you have to wonder if the others are going to do that as well. We have more coming up on Newstalk 95.3, Michiana's News Channel.